Welcome everyone to the Puck Drops here. We are here in an undisclosed location for the live stream of the trade deadline. So let me get up whatever site is doing the tracker on my computer. Not Twitter, but like the network. All right, I have no idea. Hold on. Is it NHL Network? Because it's NHL Network, I don't have it. Oh, it's NHL Network's the only one. Is there another ESPN maybe? Okay. ESPN 2. All right, cool. Let me go on that now, guys. Give me a second. Okay, you said Middlestat to Boston, McAvoy to Colorado. There's no way that's true. There we go. This should be it. All right, I got it. Okay, they're on commercial right now. So we're gonna let me go through all the trades first. Okay, so let me go through the trades that have happened. And we're gonna go through the past week. So today is Friday. The week started the third, right? Monday was the third. So we're gonna go through the third from the third on. So March 4th, there was Trent Frederick and Max Jones to Edmonton for prospect Peter Hauser. I think that is a good deal for Edmonton. It's going to help their forward depth. Frederick is going to get a lot of minutes there. We'll see how Hauser will be for how they can be, and they also get a young player, Max Warner, a second-round pick and a fourth-round pick. And Shane Lachance goes to the Devils. I think that's a great asset for New Jersey. I don't see how Boston did well in this deal. Okay, Panthers and Sharks traded Vitek Vanacek to the Panthers for Patrick Gillies. Kind of not really a trade that blows anybody out. Kraken, it was Michael Eyssimont, a second-round pick, a first-round pick, and a first-round pick to the Tampa for Oliver Bjorkstrand, a coin, a fifth-round pick, and retaining half of Gord's salary. This is a Seattle win 100%. Michael Eyssimont is a great player. It's his third team, yes. He was traded from the Jets as a rookie, but Michael Eyssimont is going to be great for Seattle. He's going to get a lot of ice time, and they get a plethora of picks. Detroit also got a conditional fourth-round pick. Disappointing that they have to retain part of Gord's salary, but I guess Detroit wants to kind of sit pat. Preds, this was on the 5th. They got Michael Bunting and a fourth-round pick from Pittsburgh for Tommy Novak and Luke Shen. San Jose gave Vincent Desharnais. This is great for San Jose and Nashville. This is, again, this doesn't make sense from can't think of his name. The GM of the Penguins used to be the man with the Leafs. This is not good for them. I don't like that trade. Devils Dumoulin for Herman Trapp, a second round pick, and retaining half of Dumoulin's salary. That's good for the Devils. Brian Dumoulin won a Stanley Cup. He's not, for a veteran defenseman, he's not super old. He's a good defensive guy and can ride some offense. Vegas gets Riley Smith from the Rangers, so that's a guy who won the cup with them. But they will have to retain half of his salary. I don't think Vegas minds that. Rangers get Brisson on a third-round pick. That's kind of that kind of evens out. Jets and Panthers swap goaltenders. Kaapo Kähkönen, Chris Driedger. That's good for both teams. Both teams are title contenders. Driedger goes to the Jets. Driedger will be a good goaltender. He kind of fits their style. And Kähkönen is very similar to Bobrovsky. Again, trading Spencer Knight was not great, but at least you got a really quality backup in Kaapo Kähkönen, who's played playoff games. You both get guys that have started in playoff games. The Ranger trade, Canucks a third-round pick for Carson Soucy. I hate this trade. I really dislike this trade, Trent. Canucks and the Rangers, Carson Soucy to the Rangers is ridiculous, in my opinion.
Just for a second here, because Mikko Rantanen, who the most significant name of the day,
Rantanen going to the Dallas. We know that. We talked about that. They're talking about it, but we'll get to that in a second. I want to continue with these deals. I hate this trade, Carson Soucy. Carson Soucy is a leader in the locker room. He's a great physical defenseman. The Canucks are in a playoff spot. It's weird that the Canucks would trade that. With cap space, there's not a lot of time left to make the trade, although there are trades that don't officially come in and reported until maybe 15 minutes after 3, but they come in at 3. Jacob Lauko and Marat Kucherov to the Bruins, to Justin Brazeau. I like Brazeau. He's going to be a great player for the Wild. He fits the Wild style. Way too much to give up. They gave up way too much. Islanders get Richie Killington, a first-round pick. This was last night. And a third-round pick to the Avs for Dufour and Nelson. This is a great pick for the Avs. And the Islanders get some good options. Ducks getting Killington. Islanders get future considerations, meaning they want Killington off the books. This is more of Anaheim buying things they probably don't need. Jake Woolman to Edmonton from San Jose for Carl Berglund and a first-round pick. What a great get for San Jose. I watched Bill Woolman in the Red Wings. Now, he's a good player. To give up a first-round pick and a strong prospect for Jake Woolman, that is the steal. That is a super steal. Caps get Anthony Beauvillier for a second-round pick for the Penguins. That's about an even deal there. I would have probably wanted a third. Wanted to only give a third, not a second, but okay. Kuzmenko and a seventh-rounder to LA, and you give Flyers a third-round pick. That's weird for Philly, why you would trade him. Ottawa gets Cousins, Gilbert, and a second-round pick. And the Sabres get Josh Norris and Jacob Bernard-Docker. I didn't like trading away Cousins. Josh Norris is a bona fide goal scorer. Here's the problem with this. You're getting rid of your physicality. I like Josh Norris. I think he'll fit Buffalo's situation well. But to give away a pick and another defenseman and losing physicality, weird. And that you trade in your own division. And obviously Cousins, Ottawa believes Cousins is what can get them to the playoffs. Jets getting Luke Shen from Seattle, who just got him from Nashville and didn't really want him. Strong deal for... that was the Penguins. Then the Jets getting Tanev and only a second-round pick. You had a whole plethora of players that you had in your proposed deal, Trent. And Tanev only goes for a second-round pick. Flyers, they get Nikita Grabenkin, a first-round pick, but they're going to retain 50% of Lawton's salary, trading it to Toronto. So Toronto gets their centerman Lawton, fourth-round pick and a sixth-round pick. Who do I think wins that trade? I think eventually Philadelphia wins that trade. I don't understand why they would retain 50% of the salary. That was probably the only way to deal him, so I guess that's fair. Nikita Grabenkin, obviously, you're seeing the style that Philadelphia wants to play. I don't think they have the coach for it, though. Rantanen for Stankoven, 2 first-round picks, 2 third-round picks. This eventually is going to benefit Carolina, but if Dallas wins a cup, they know how to put Mikko Rantanen. It will help them. Also, the Avs, they get Coyle, giving Boston Casey Middlestat, who's a Massachusetts kid, so he's playing in his hometown. Will Zellers and a second-round pick. That is way too steep for Coyle. Colorado's going for it all. Problem is they're not fixing their goaltender issue. All right, let's see what other deals are in the work. Oh, a couple just came in. There's one that just came in. Chicago and the Red Wings, we deal. We get Peter Mrazek and Craig Smith for Joe Veleno. Oh, I can't. Oh. Oh. Oh, I despise that trade. You already had enough goaltenders. Peter Mrazek, I get you bringing him back with the Red Wings. I don't mind that. Craig Smith, I get it. He's a grindy guy. He's physical, but he's getting there in age, and he's not going to be able to really skate. Joey Veleno is a beloved player in the room. This strengthens Chicago. I don't like this trade for the Red Wings. This is going to be a great trade for Chicago. So I don't like that. So far, no deals yet, but yeah, so that's so far what it is.
That are watching, what do you think they're thinking about what Colorado's doing and what Dallas is doing? Not in the division, but the path will likely, lead through one of those teams or Winnipeg if they're going to make it back to the Stanley Cup.
Yeah, Colorado. It's about Colorado and Dallas now. The thing is, Dallas needs to strengthen their physical side of their blue line. They haven't done that. Colorado needs to strengthen their goaltending. They haven't done that. In fact, we've barely seen goaltenders moved. They've more been in goaltender swaps. The only one that hasn't was the trade that just happened, Mrazek and
James, I don't know exactly what's going on with them or
to Chicago.
What they're up to. If I'm them, I'm sitting there feeling like, okay, if there's a chance to get something done late here.
All right, let me go on Twitter and look up some of the NHL.
Be there to do it, considering all these other moves going on. You don't want to let it cause you to do something goofy or stupid or anything like that. But let's say, I've been talking about Ryan Donato today. Are you on the phone with the Blackhawks, kind of waiting to find out if that contract is going to happen or not? And if it doesn't, then see if there's a way you can add a 23-goal scorer to your lineup. The Oilers have a clear need. Their top 6 is not populated by top 6 players. It hasn't been that way all year. We'll see what Evander Kane can give them if and when he comes back. But James,
Rantanen is going to get an 8-year contract extension in Dallas. That is nuts.
We knew that they needed to do that. The goaltending, they're going to just stand pat on. If possible, they need to add a little more punch up front. And you look at what's going on around them, you got to think that they're feeling that, I would assume.
Always tough to get back to the Stanley Cup final, although we've seen teams.
We're looking, see if there's anything else.
Really tough for the Oilers in what is an absolutely loaded Western Conference, but they have McDavid and Draisaitl. So,
but as you said, Coyle going to Colorado. That's interesting. Charlie Coyle knows Colorado very well, as we talked about. Don't see a lot of moves right now. A lot of the Canuck fans are saying, Besser's not going anywhere. That's good.
Not a lot was expected from them today, and so we still might see something in the last 15 minutes, but the fact that it's been silent from the Flames, not a shocker today.
Yeah, James, no cowboy hat, no acquisitions. It really has been a quiet.
Calgary did add Farabee and Frost.
But I think that's what this organization needs.
Well, that was from, I think, the Kuzmenko trade. Calgary honestly looks to be in a good spot, I think. I don't think they're going to trade anything. I don't think there's any movements happening. But so far, those are the only deals that we see. Was the one that we just announced here, the Detroit deal. Detroit-Chicago deal, which I do not like. If you have anything to know, you can.
Group off the ice, and I think they're really aware of that chemistry, and as a result, it's not a shock that they're not going to do anything. And this group now, as constructed,
let me know.
New acquisitions, Joel Farabee and Morgan Frost.
We don't have a lot of time left before this.
And I think quiet is good given the past couple of seasons for the Calgary Flames.
And right now, the Flames sit in that second wild card spot, 1 point up on the Vancouver Canucks. That's Sullivan Balji for us down in Texas. If you're wondering why Farhan Lalji was
Over. Actually, I didn't realize this. The Canucks, because I haven't had to do with the high school and all that, so I haven't been able to pay attention. The Canucks are behind Calgary for that final wild card spot. So I don't like the idea of selling if you're the Canucks. They still have Besser. So that seems the same. But so far, nothing doing.
Well, it's just the trading deadline day is like this, what's there-
I don't see that trade, the Cody Glass trade. I didn't see it yet.
You guys, but no
But-
takers. I was trying to get a second round pick for you too.
That's it?
That was it. No value. That's actually high.
You weren't willing to retain?
That's actually, yeah, retain. Yeah, it's always, it's always that moment, everybody gets a little uneasy, but, it's, for our job as coaches, we just move along. And then whatever happens after 12, that's your team. That's the way you gotta look at it.
Nothing that we see
We
yet.
need more of a Rannon bounty for Farhan, a couple of firsts and a Logan Stanko. This was earlier, by the way. We got Farhan up really early on the West Coast, like 4 a.m. This is before he was doing his hit. This is not acting. Farhan was sleeping on the job, but he's been working hard since. Right at the rink, getting ready for action. We don't know if we'll get anything on Brock Besser and the Vancouver Canucks in the last few minutes before the deadline here on Trade Center 2025. Back with more right
I
after.
don't see where's that Mrazek trade that we just saw?
I found a beautiful Latina woman, and now I'm proud to say.
All right, so okay, so here, this is the one that I got to be refreshing. All right, so yeah, Cody Glass for third round pick. Also, Luke Cunnin from the Sharks for a fourth round pick. That's interesting. Luke Cunnin definitely fits with their offense, the way that they like to move the puck.
He sleeps right there on my property.
But nothing new that we see from what we already reported.
New FanDuel casino players
We
get
got about
50 bonus spins and $1,000 back in casino
17 minutes left till the deadline, so it's probably going to get busy at the end.
Casino. Plus, try more exclusive games like Samurai
And
Education or
then,
go for wins in the
but you're going to stay a little bit after, because we're going to have to see
So dunk a battle and
who
one
goes
more
where.
to exclusive wins. New players get 350 bonus spins plus up to $1,000 back in casino bonus.
Junior.
I said I wasn't gonna cry.
And you're not.
Yeah, it's called strength.
But still nothing yet.
I'm so low. No, get out. No, you. Get out!
If you have any questions, let me know. Type them up.
Presented by Built. What the puff? Built Puff.
But so far, those are the deals. Again, we'll just recap them. Today's deals, again, were Nelson and Dufour to Colorado for Kellen Ritchie, Oliver Kylington, first round and third rounder. Kylington then gets dealt again to the Ducks, so the Islanders can get him off the books. Wallman goes to San Jose for Berglund and a first round pick.
Games you won't find anywhere else. Looking for jackpots?
Bavillier to Pittsburgh for a second rounder. Kuzmenko and a seventh rounder to Philadelphia for a third round pick. Norris and Bernard Docker to Ottawa for Cousins. Or excuse me, Norris and Bernard Docker to Buffalo for Cousins. Gilbert, a second round pick. Luke Shen to the Jets for a second round pick and a fourth round pick. Tanev to the Jets, Brandon Tanev to the Jets for a second round pick for Seattle. And Scotty Lawton and a fourth round pick and a sixth round pick to Toronto for Nikita Grebenkin, first round pick, and 50% of Lawton's salary goes to Philadelphia. Rantanen to Dallas for Stankoven, 26, 27 first round picks and 26, 27 third round picks go to Carolina. Mittelstadt, Zellers, and a second round pick to Boston for Coyle and a fifth round selection. Mrazek and Craig Smith to Detroit for Joey Villano. Going to Chicago. San Jose, a fourth round pick, and they trade Luke Cunnin to Columbus. And the Devils get Cody Glass, and Pittsburgh trade gets a third round selection.
Made it an even dozen last year when Buffalo traded him to Florida, and the Panthers, of course, going on to win the Stanley Cup. 13 minutes now away from the deadline. Again, there's usually a trickle of deals after the deadline as there's a lineup at NHL Registry, so we'll be with you for the couple of hours afterwards. First, right now, let's check in with Brian Hayes and his panel.
All right, thank you, JD. Here at Carlo Koliakovo and Emily Kaplan. Emily, you're down there in Tampa where the Boston Bruins have arrived in town. They just practiced. They're preparing to play the Lightning tomorrow night. There have been some moves, including Charlie Coyle just getting dealt. Give us a vibe check. What's going on down there with the Bruins?
11 trades today, 17 players and 15 picks.
Is how I would describe it. Just, everyone even around the team just knew something was happening, but they don't know what. And
Most trades ever were done in 2022, which was 32. Right now, we're way behind that. It's not like you would usually see with trades.
He's injured right now. He's back in Boston rehabbing. We expect him back right before the playoffs. And everyone always assumed he was going to stay. We always know he wants to stay in Boston. I still remain.
So apparently the Bruins believe Marchand's staying. There's a thought process that he's not going anywhere.
Wait, what is going on? And they don't have any answers right now as the Boston War Room is back in Boston.
Yeah, that would be some groundbreaking news. If we
But that's not. But it's not official. But he might. There are thoughts that Marchand could move. We don't know if he will. I don't know where he would go. Who would even have the cap space to go after him? Oh, the Canucks. Oh, they mentioned the Canucks. Now, the Canucks, if you did a deal with Besser, you could get Marchand, but Marchand is hated in Vancouver. I don't know if the Canucks would do that, especially because Besser is beloved and he's much younger. And he's basically the same player.
It's been kind of a middling season right now in Vancouver with a lot of turmoil, right? Think of all the stuff that this team has had to deal with. The Demko injury, the Miller, Pettersson saga, the Quinn Hughes injury right now. They're 1 point out of a playoff spot, and Quinn Hughes is still hurt. Besser doesn't want to resign. Elias Pettersson is still struggling.
But they dealt Carson Soucy got dealt as well for the Canucks, as we mentioned.
Are they going to try to make a push for the playoffs, or are they looking at this as an opportunity to bring back some assets and look towards next year?
I think it's a great question. I when in doubt, I think, where is Sidney Crosby at in the landscape of the NHL? What is he thinking right now? And I don't believe he's going to be dealt over the next 10 minutes. So
that would be something. Hey, Bob?
That would push everything aside, absolutely, if Sid got moved. But they have made some moves.
Mentioning when I said Crosby, but Crosby only would go to one team, and that team already got Nelson's. It would not make any sense for
Why is Rickard Raquel going to stay beyond 3 p.m.? Are you going to keep Eric
them to
Karlsson
go
in the
ahead
future? These are questions I have, Emily, because if Sid has signed, which he has,
and do anything for the deal.
are you going to have any opportunity to win over the next 2 or 3 years? Kyle Dubas, I think, Emily, has to make that determination and go all in if they are going in that direction.
I'm going to see if anybody else is making any deals here. We'll probably stay about 10, 15 minutes after the deadline to recap everything and also to see if any trades come filtering in.
Freed up some space to make some big moves, but they have collected a boatload of picks over the next couple drafts.
Because that's a big...
Quietly, this has already been going on, even if on the ice, it seems like they're still pushing for the playoffs. All I know is that when Sid signed this extension this summer for 2 years, he knew what he was signing up for. I think they want to stay competitive as long as Sid is there and expedite this as quickly as possible. And as it pertains to Rickard Raquel, and I would add Brian Rust in there, the challenge is these are players that want to be in Pittsburgh. So
they mentioned Raquel, but I thought they also mentioned Rust. Now, Brian Rust is a guy that you wonder if a team would pay maybe a second-round pick or a first-round pick for. Brian Rust is a Stanley Cup champion. He's a guy that could really be used, and he's a power forward. Maybe the Devils? I mean, the thing with the Devils is you got to replace Jack Hughes, and I don't know if they right now look like they want to do that. They did get Cody Glass, but that's nothing close to being a replacement.
How much can we actually trust what the Pittsburgh Penguins are doing? Their goaltending's a disaster. Every signing that Kyle Dubas made last offseason has not panned out well for them. They've got bad contracts on that team. They've got older veteran players. I just don't know how they rebuild this on the fly or rebuild it quick enough to allow Sidney Crosby to be competitive in the playoffs with that team again.
That's the ultimate.
Caden Goulet doesn't look like he's going to be traded. He's skating for the first time, and he might be healthy soon for Montreal.
They also had some young players that were prepared to step in, and that adds some insult to injury if you're in Pittsburgh. Yeah. Right? Sid Novi, Pittsburgh and Washington.
We're about 8 minutes till the 3 p.m. deadline time. Remember, there will be trades probably slinking in, one or two maybe after the fact. So
it's all up in the air right now, James.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating to watch. Thank you, guys. Just some extra business. Jim Nill getting a lot done today in Dallas. Not only Mikko Rantanen acquired from Carolina and signing an 8x12 extension, but why?
And it is official. Rantanen is going to sign that
5-year extension at $8.4 million
deal.
per. So Jim Nill spending some money on a really good Dallas team right now. We're down to 8 minutes until the deadline. We'll take you
So
there.
he's going to re-sign with the Stars. He's going to sign with the Stars. Started out as an Av, went out to Carolina, and now he's going to sign with Dallas after being dealt. But they paid a steep price to go get Rantanen.
A Mormon happy family, but only what we wanted to show them.
Weird things started happening. Ruby said the children were demonically.
So they're going to get some stuff again off of what could be utilized for their team. Nothing yet that I'm seeing on Twitter right now that the Devils, the Red Wing, and the Columbus deals seem to be the most recent deals so far in the NHL trade deadline. That's what we're seeing.
Games you won't find anywhere else. Looking for jackpots? Right this way. You'll always find someone ready to give you a hand. Or some dice. Your favorite game is waiting for you. On BetMGM Casino.
How was your vacation stay? Oh, I needed one.
With your 10% loyalty program discount, that's $225 for the night.
Not bad. $155 for the night.
Hold up. How?
It's easy when you know where to look.
Trivago compares hotel prices from hundreds of sites, so you can save up to 40%.
That's what just got it popped up.
Hotel? Trivago.
The first time you try Bounce, it hits you. Your laundry feels way fresher, softer. So you start to wonder, if I put a sheet of Bounce on the finance guy, will it make him softer? Bounce can't do it all. But for better laundry, put a sheet on it with Bounce.
No one plans on heart disease.
Continuing to look, we're about 5 minutes away from this.
We help patients of all lifestyles and medical histories plan for healthy hearts. We offer convenient screenings without judgment.
Columbus apparently just moved Matejchuk, who has been that big defenseman, offensive defenseman. I think he was the one that scored the goal against the Red Wings in the outdoor classic that we did, the outdoor game that we did. They just moved him down to the Cleveland Monsters, so they might be in works to get a defenseman late. But he just was moved down to play for Cleveland. Matejchuk, who for most of the season has been on the big league team with Columbus.
Trade Center is presented by Harvey's new Frings Poutine, where they've combined their crunchy onion rings with their classic poutine. New Frings Poutine. Try it for a limited time.
That's been the way mainly with these teams.
this is going to have hockey, Twitter, everything else going crazy.
Oh, a big deal's coming in, guys.
Knights have struck again. Bob McKenzie.
Vegas has made a deal late.
So it would have to be done. But and this is where you got to get into the gray areas of make sure you make it in time. But Thomas Hurdle from the San Jose Sharks appears as though he could be headed to the Vegas.
Oh, okay. Okay, this didn't. Never mind. This false alarm. They were showing a clip from late last year of at the end of the deadline where Vegas dealt went and got Tomas Hertl. Apparently the Vegas Golden Knights are joking and pranking everyone. They just posted something that said hi to be like, oh, we're here, we're working on something. I don't know what they would be working on.
Find out for 15 minutes after the deadline, but we'll see Jeff O'Neill if Vegas has done anything.
But you're probably going to go to the 15-minute mark right after the trade deadline.
They're coming over the top with a monster. I would bet the latter. Okay, let's look at some of the deals that happened in the last 5 minutes of the deadline, beating the clock. This was between 2:55 and 3 p.m. Eastern time. The last deadline. So there have been some.
Okay, so just mentioning a bunch of
course, helped Tampa win
deals, obviously.
Hurdle was the biggest one that took us out of nowhere, but there are deals that happened. High of 14 trades in the last.
Nothing that we see yet, though.
A low of 5 last year when Bobby Mack broke that Tomas Hurdle thing. So as we wait to see if Vegas has done anything, to see if
as you mentioned, the Red Wing Veleno trade that has already been mentioned.
Something based on everything else that's happened.
I think Toronto's got to go find a defenseman. I mean, they got their third line centerman, but I think they understand what's going on in the Atlantic. They understand what Tampa's done. They understand what Florida's done. They're in first place still. They're in a great spot to win the division and avoid those guys in the first round. But I do think they need a defenseman. They're hard to find. It's hard to get the right fit. But I do think that's something that would be great if they could do.
Nothing so far yet.
In Toronto, but when I look at the Jets right now, and you look at Dallas and what Colorado's done, I'd love to see them just get a solid, strong winger on that second line. And I don't know, it's a couple minutes to go here. I don't think it's happening, but it would be nice to see.
Yeah, I think, what about Vancouver? Like, what are they doing? They haven't done
Besser has stood put for what we've seen. For what we're seeing, it has still been Besser standing pat, stayed put for the Canucks.
They're watching Colorado, Dallas, and they're saying, there's not really much of a chance to get through that, so let's just stand pat and see what happens.
All right, so a lot of people are saying, oh, the deadline is done, No, even when it hits 3, that doesn't mean it's necessarily done because deals come in late. So we're in the final 30 seconds of the trade deadline, but deals usually come in late. So we're probably going to do is wait about 15 minutes before we'll close off the stream because you just never know with the teams. Teams will come in really late and throw trades in.
You think about the top 3 in the Central, and then you think about Vegas, and Edmonton. I guess you want to put Edmonton in there too.
You still do.
Those 5 teams are quite a bit better than everybody else. So the likelihood of running through 3 of them to get to the final, not good if you're Vancouver or one of those teams in the wild card.
Yeah, that's the way you got to look at it, Johnny. Not just one. Like,
you got to go through all 3.
Can you mow through
All right.
2 or 3 of them?
The seconds have ticked down. It's officially 3 o'clock Eastern. Now, that doesn't mean the trade deadline is over. But what that means is that if any deals were done, were about to be called in now, they're trying to, that were not already talked about to the league office, those would be negated. Now, the league will try to sift through whatever other deals were made previously.
Come sit down for a couple minutes. Yeah, you can run back over to Lindsay in a second. Make sure he does not leave the building.
Before the line.
See you at the airport,
That is Jeff O'Neill. We will get him back. He's contractually obligated to stay.
As I said, trades can trickle out over the next hour or so. So we'll probably stay, for about 15 minutes, maybe 30 minutes. So we'll make the decision.
I'm sure you got the call ready to go.
You heard the question I was asking the panel, as in who would you like to see do something? Obviously, they would have had to do it already by now, but something we'd like to hear in the next 15 minutes.
I wish I could give you a different answer than something that was already said.
But MJ nailed it. It's the Toronto Maple Leafs. They need a defenseman. Like, if you can find a way to get...
I would say the Jets. I would like to see do something. I'd like to also see if the Canucks want to buy here, especially because the Canucks have really built at that blue line. If they can get another strong forward, I think that as well. And the Devils got to buy. I think.
It's a no-brainer.
So is this a failure? If it's just Lawton on this day for the Leafs, is that a failure?
It's half the job. It's half the job is done. Half the job is done, and half the job you're kind of leaving it up to chance with who you got right now.
It's a function of the market.
Yeah.
I mean, the cost to get a player that would be good enough to warrant the cost might not have made sense. Like, they needed a defenseman, but I don't know how many good guys are out there that you could justify paying the prices it was going to take to get them.
I would pay for Connor Murphy.
I would be less inclined. I'd pay for Brendan Carlo.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, Carlo.
Yeah, if Boston's selling, and maybe Boston's...
I would pay. I was talking about the Leafs. Who you pay for? I'd pay for John Carlson. I don't know why nobody bit on John Carlson. The Caps are a great team, but they're not sold on him as much anymore. And I think he's still a standout defenseman. I think if you gave them the right price, I think the Caps would deal.
Maybe makes a little bit more sense. Probably no way.
How happy would Mitch Marner be if Brad Marchand got traded to the Leafs?
Oh, yeah.
Like, that's the happiest guy in the dressing room to have that.
I'd be happier than Mitch, because what a story down the stretch. And what a story for Trade Center as well. And that's the other big name we're waiting for here as we see what deals trickle in over the next few minutes. You can go back to Lindsay, because I think I'll be sending.
I already got sent to the minors. You're already back to the minors. Lindsay Hamilton is not the minors.
You got to take warm-ups only.
That is a
Game-time decision. Dude, posting in. Gio was going no bucket, and I was going to post it in.
Are we making any successful efforts in retrieving Jeff O'Neill, who is...
Oh, there's been a sign.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, returning to the studio.
Overtime.
Drone operator / analyst, Jeff O'Neill, more handshakes.
I need
All right, Ristolainen is somebody that they're looking to see if maybe he would have been dealt. There's a possibility if they already called it in that maybe. Again, so far we don't see anything. But we're waiting for these things to kind of trickle in.
Quite comfortable with my feet up. We're going to do our top 5 teams and reassess those a little bit later on in the show. We'll do our winners and losers at the end of the show. But just give me a preliminary taste of...
One other thought we didn't talk about.
What?
Edmonton looking for scoring.
Yeah.
Again, we dumped them in the top 5 in the West. And there's a hole. They want a top 6 scoring winger. And maybe that's Evander Kane. Maybe he's healthy enough he can come back and do it. But Ryan Rishaug's floated up Donato's name several times. I mean, he might be able to go to Edmonton and play with Leon Draisaitl. And he can shoot the puck. Like, they need an uptick in offense. And so that's another team that I do like the Wallman trade a lot.
If you want to get to the promised land, Johnny, is Ryan Donato going to put, like, I know he's got 23 goals this year.
You got Pud Colson playing there right now.
Yeah. I don't like that either.
Is he better than what they have?
Yeah, I'm thinking of teams that did the best. I think Colorado probably won the trade deadline. My issue with Colorado is that I don't know why they won't address the goaltender. It's such a, you could really see that is the thing that can fix them. They can really put them as one of the top teams year in and year out.
If you get him to your team, he's got to play in the top...
Because their game is built on speed, but they have enough money to afford a goaltender, because your whole thing is you're in a race and you have to understand that it's going to be scoring, and sometimes your scoring is going to be off. But if you're going to be fast octane and you can't 10 goal, but if you could 10 goal, you'll eventually get those games on your favor, and you'll get those odd man rushes. And especially when you get hot and you're scoring all the time and then you're stopping goals, this team could really dominate the league, which I don't know if Colorado understands how. If they could.
And James just got a note from Ryan Rishaug. Nothing late coming from the Edmonton Oilers. And on the heels of that, my question to you is, and I think it's kind of an obvious...
So Edmonton is staying pat after the trades they've made.
Most significantly, or which NHL team...
Looking to really not make...
Significantly if they don't upgrade in their goaltending.
All right, as the Edmonton Oilers. Look, we all know the Oilers said, we're not going to do anything. But should they have done
Many deals.
something?
Oh!
Stuart Skinner...
Brad Marchand, we're hearing a possibility that Marchand might go to the Panthers. That's what we're hearing. Oh, they just got him. Panthers just got Marchand. The Panthers just got Marshawn. We don't know how, but they just got Marshawn from Boston. I'm stunned. Marshawn to the Panthers. You would trade him in your own division. Marshawn to the Panthers. That is a stunning trade.
In the Stanley Cup playoffs. They throw down the rats and they've got
That is a fitting deal. For Marshawn to Florida.
Action for the entire panel, but Craig Button is standing by with Jennifer Hedger. I just want to make sure I have a camera ready for Craig. Jennifer.
I just wanted to ask Mark Giordano. He played against Marchand and Kachuk. Like, there's the guy to ask what it's like.
Yeah, I played with Chucky, I mean, and against Marchand a lot. It's just, it's crazy that they're going to be on the same team. Could you imagine them on the same line in playoffs? That would be, that'd be tough to handle, but I'm in shock. I didn't think that would come in.
I'll ask a simple question. Is Florida the team to beat in the Eastern Conference now? With you know, Seth Jones on the second pairing and D. If Matthew
Again, that was weird that you would have
champions from last year.
I think you'd have to put them at the top. I think Tampa Bay is right underneath.
given up a guy like him.
They're bringing in Goudreau as well.
But that is what we're seeing is Marshawn to the Panthers. We don't know what they're giving up. I would assume they're giving up a whole lot.
But you put him in just a secondary role, he'll come up big. He's big come playoff time.
But Marshawn's not even going to need to be playing on that top line. So Brad Marchand goes to the Panthers. We have to root for him this year, which will be fun.
Third year in a row, but I mean, now with Chucky taking the last 30 games off, new blood coming in, I think there's a lot. He'll just magically be ready for game one of the playoffs.
Yeah, I tell you what, I don't know what the volume's going to be.
But that is what we're hearing right now. And yes, it is official. He is going to the Panthers. We are not sure what they're giving up. I wonder if there's going to be any more trickle-down trades coming in, filtering through the way.
Brock Nelson last night, big name. Mikko Rantanen, and the fact that he's traded twice at the deadline coming in the last hour or two. And, you know, Dylan Cousins, Charlie Coyle, Lawton, significant players as well, not superstars, but significant players. And now, again, you're right. Brad Marchand's not the player he was, but he's still a really good player and one of the biggest name players in the National Hockey League.
But that is what. But
I think he kind of showed a little bit in the Four Nations that he may not be the 90-point guy. He's still on pace for 70 points this year. He's still a very good player.
that could be a really intriguing trade.
When the games get
Let's see if there's any others coming in besides Marshawn.
And I think even the Team Canada guys in the Four Nations were marveling at sort of, smart player in big moments, did all the right things, giving his team a chance to win, plus the energy. And you talk about, the role he'll play.
All right, nothing else that I'm seeing.
Yeah, at times him and Evan Rodriguez probably bounce back and forth in the second and third line. He might be the third line with Lundell and Loistrainen and thinking those guys checking and buzzing.
Besides them, we're trying desperately to see up what the Panthers are giving up to get Brad Marchand.
We'll probably push them to the final bit here to try to catch Toronto. And again, I think finishing first matters for any of those teams.
But again, we don't exactly know.
Florida included.
But I think that's also shows with the Leafs right now with their back end. Now it even becomes more pivotal when you look at the Atlantic and Florida bolstering themselves.
So that tells me right now, with dealing, you do get Middlestat, who's a good player, but you deal Coyle, you deal Marchand. This team is obviously going to embrace somewhat of a rebuild. This is good for the Red Wings as well, because the Red Wings are getting more physical, older players, which means that clearly they believe that they are in the playoff race, which kind of puts Boston out of the playoff race, at least right now.
Let's pump the brakes on 100%.
And I'll tell you right now, the wild card looks like, at least the way that they've
Signs point to Brandon Carlo being a Toronto Maple Leafs.
put everything through. Oh, Carlo is going to the Leafs. So now Brandon Carlo is going to go to Toronto. So now Toronto is going to bolster their back end to deal with Brad Marchand. So now Brandon Carlo goes to Toronto. So Boston, you're talking about selling off parts? They trade two of their three most dynamic players in their division to two teams that, not only that, but the two teams that they played in the playoffs last year. Remember, they played Toronto and the Panthers in the playoffs, and they trade two of their three pivotal pieces. The other one would surprise me if he's going anywhere, which is Pasternak. Yeah, I think I got to get a.
Coyle and Carlo would be targets for the Toronto Maple Leafs. They didn't get both, but they got one. And the defense is almost more. It's more important that.
A Marchand Panthers jersey. That's.
Of the two additions, Coyle is significantly more important than the Toronto Maple Leafs and their chances to compete.
I've always liked the way he plays and how many years
That's going to be
the Toronto
interesting.
Maple Leafs for some right-handed defensemen. It seemed like for the longest time it was lefty after lefty. They finally brought in Tanev, and it just goes to show you the change.
But Carlo, who's still on a 2-year deal,
Division rivals. One guy going to the
goes to Toronto. Yeah, they're making the same thing. Like you would trade a player to Toronto and trade a player to the Panthers.
big, strong, physical guy, and you just can't get enough of it back there.
So the Atlantic clearly is bolstering a lot.
Of the world. I love the fact that, you know, we're not talking about a puck-moving right-handed defenseman. We're talking about a shutdown defenseman that take care of the middle.
Chicago also got someone from the Jets, Kuzmin. Let's see if these trades have gone. They have not gone final yet, but those are the trades that we mentioned. Carlo, as we also said, going to Toronto. This is why we stayed. I knew there was going to be something at the end. This is why we stayed here.
Let's start with transactions. Toronto's a team that we've been looking at kind of all day as we watch Florida and Tampa making moves, bolstering their teams, and now Toronto coming with Brandon Carlo.
So Toronto gets Lawton and Carlo. To be honest with you, the only 3 teams I think that could make any moves before this deadline is officially final. And they're all teams that I root for. I think are the Canucks, the Devils, and the Jets. The Jets, another top-tier winger. The Devils, a center if there's one available. And the Canucks either adding another I would say adding another center or trading away a top player like Brock Besser.
The ice doesn't get bigger in the playoffs. It gets smaller. Your time doesn't get more. It becomes less. Brandon Carlo really helps his team. I think it's really, really significant. And keep in mind, Oliver Ekman-Larsson last year and forward.
So Eric Johnson, I didn't hear about the Johnson trade, but yes, Marchand to the Panthers, Carlo to the Leafs, as we mentioned here. Thank you, Trent. So far, those are the deals that have just made sense. Yes, they have traded 2 players.
We talk about the edge and the I mean, I don't know. Are they going to make little miniature?
We're going to wait a little bit here. We'll probably go off, I don't know, 3:30 maybe. We don't know. Now, we're still waiting. We don't know what is being given up to Boston.
They are no fun to play against before they acquired these guys. They're even less fun to play against now they got these 2. And you got 4 defensemen now with the addition of Jones and Mikkola, Ekblad, and Forsling. I mean, we know that that's Stanley Cup contending pool line.
Well, what about the West? Because we were looking at balance of power in the West all day today until these last trades came through. No, I think I'm okay now.
Oh, okay.
We can just hang out close if you want.
Right. So right now, I would say the teams that have bolstered the most in the East is Toronto and the Panthers. The teams that have bolstered the most in the West are Colorado and Dallas. I don't know if any of those teams are going to the final, but it's interesting. The Red Wings, they traded Veleno. That was disappointing, but they are trying to give some playoff grit to race towards the playoffs because Boston has kind of mailed it out. Montreal has pretty much made nobody. Here's the funny thing. We haven't heard anything about Armia, which I can't imagine. Armia not going anywhere right now. Montreal, Gouli is coming back. Montreal doesn't look like they're going to make any trades, and they are not really top heavy. So right now, the wild card in the East looks like it's going to be a 3-team race because I don't know if you knew Trent, but Trent, I don't know if I told you if you saw it or if you know all the updates. Josh Norris to Buffalo, Dylan Cousins to Ottawa. So it looks like a 3-way race for the wild cards between 2 teams. Ottawa, Detroit, and Columbus.
And in addition, Fabian Zetterlund, our colleague Bruce Garriock in Ottawa reported that the San Jose Sharks have traded Fabian Zetterlund to the Ottawa Senators.
Zetterlund to Ottawa. Okay. Fabian Zetterlund to Ottawa. We don't know what San Jose is getting, but Zetterlund, the Devils draft pick that was traded to San Jose for Tomas Hertl, or not Tomas Hertl, for Timo Meier.
Trade that pick, which is possible today, in which case Chicago
gets a 27 first-round pick. The Leafs, by the way, if you're wondering,
Zetterlund is we're not sure what they're getting. Also, the pick, the Panthers pick might be dealt as well. We're looking at it. We're going to stay for a little bit here. But Fabian Zetterlund to Ottawa. So Ottawa is really gearing up. So Ottawa is that. So I'll tell you what Ottawa's doing right now. They're in the second wild card spot, but they made more moves than Columbus. They are trying to match Tampa, and they're trying to get to that third spot that Tampa holds. Also, we didn't mention the Rangers. They made no moves. Now, can the Rangers join that 4-team race for the final wild cards? I think they can, but it's going to depend on how they play. But right now, it seems to be definitely a 3-team race for the wild cards. My Red Wings, Columbus, and Ottawa.
Unless the lottery balls don't go their way. Hello, Matthew Shea.
And there's just some big games. Good possibility that I'm going to stream tonight, but I'm not sure. I have not seen anything at Ristolainen. There's not a belief that Ristolainen is going anywhere.
Carlo and Brad Marchand deals. Let's begin with Brandon Carlo, what this means to the Leafs depth chart on the blue line.
But that's depth, and a long defenseman.
Yeah,
that's what you need
it's
in the playoffs. Somebody who's big, 6'5", can really dominate the front end of the net, and that's what the Toronto Maple Leafs, the way they defend, is give the goaltenders a sight line, clear everything out. Now,
Noodles, your mic's off. Hit the button.
There we go.
I'll
lean into your mic.
Marty?
Well, yeah, we talked about Stolars and Wool, and that just helps them, right? But you look at Tampa, you look at Florida, their group of forwards. I mean, Tampa's got Gensel, Point, Kucherov, Cirelli, Paul Hagel, Gord Bjorkstrand, and Florida.
Yeah, we don't yet have any
you need that defensive structure. You need the guys
finals on what teams they're getting for these strong players.
Be strong physically, and Carlo's going to have that for the Leafs.
But it doesn't look like the Flyers are going. Also, Chicago has confirmed they are not dealing Donato.
That's going to help. And the biggest option, as I mentioned before my mic was off, is to clear the front of the net. Allow the goaltenders the sight lines. That's why Stolar's 6'6". If he can see the puck, he'll stop it. That's the way the Toronto Maple Leafs defend. You add another long right shot defenseman in.
All right, Florida Panthers, Toronto Maple Leafs, Tampa Bay Lightning, right there battling for.
I'm thinking about getting one.
Tampa really not in the battle for first right now, but maybe they catch up. With the acquisitions
not
that
sure
made right now, what does that do to the balance of power, especially now with the add of Brad Marchand, Florida?
I look at the top two lines of the Florida Panthers. I know that Mystic Mike says, I don't know if he plays on the top two line, but I'm looking at Kachuk, Bennett, and Marchand. Like, you put that on the board in anybody's locker room, right? You're the Tampa Bay Lightning, you're the Toronto Maple Leafs, you're anybody getting ready to play a game. You see that on the board, and you're like, oh boy, like that is the impact that could have. Maybe they mix and match, but if Kachuk comes back in the playoffs,
this could be a really physical team, the Panthers. They're going to be fun to watch. We're definitely going to have a lot of broadcasts of them in the playoffs. One of my teams, and again, and this has been interesting because there's some players that I'll get to root for, either again or for the first time. I'll get to root for Marchand for the first time, which is going to be really cool. I'll get to root for Nyquist again. It's been a long time coming since that happened. Here's the funny thing, besides Carson Soucy, the Canucks have really made no deals. No confirmation, but we don't believe Besser is going anywhere.
In a top 6, maybe a top 9 role, right-handed shot, that adds to the balance of power for the Ottawa Senators as far as depth and a guy who can score.
I think it's the third line. I think you put him on the third line, gives you that depth with your top 6, but he has some really sneaky, good offensive abilities that's going to help.
The Sens ran the bubble to make the playoffs right now. How thrilled are they watching what's happening with Boston this
Well, basically it's one team waving the white flag, and the Bruins saying, okay, check please. You call the waiter, check.
Maroon also was confirmed. Chicago is not dealt Maroon, will not deal Patrick Maroon. So they are keeping some of their high budget veterans.
Just grind and dominate year in and year out. Now they've obviously pivoted, and they're going to be sellers, and they have been.
But Montreal's status quo is almost like a buyer, right? So
was that a good thing though that the Habs stood pat with what they had?
Absolutely.
And Montreal is confirmed they're not trading anybody.
But you're not selling Armia, you're not selling Dvorak, you re-signed Evans, you're not selling Savard. So that puts them in a position that, hey, we're still on the way up. We're just having our own rentals, right, for the rush. So Montreal
will not trade Armia. That honestly, that right there tells me that we're not going to have any deals
with the Ottawa Senators.
coming in. Okay, so they think Montreal is going to still battle for a playoff spot. I don't believe that. I don't believe that, specifically because they didn't do anything. As I said, this is a 3-team wild card. Maybe the Rangers, maybe. But I don't even think them, because they've been very wishy-washy and they seem a little too far out to compete for a playoff spot. This really is a 3-team wild card. Somebody's going to fall out, either Ottawa, Columbus, or the Red Wings. Right now, the Red Wings are the odd team out. I think with the way the deals are, I think Columbus is going to be the team that's going to fall out of things. Ottawa acquired way too much depth. Oh, we got something coming.
This one's not really relevant, except it's kind of fascinating. Shea Weber went into the Hall of Fame last year, and he's been traded again. His contract anyway. Utah trading Shea Weber's contract to Chicago to clear out some cap space there.
All right, it's nothing, but just Utah just traded Shea Weber's contract to to Chicago, who's buying every contract to clear out cap space.
Hey, we did an arm wrestle and I won, so I'm gonna hold that over Hayden for a while.
He's a fraud.
I was missing my wingman. I got him back. I added a few more. So much for this minors team. We are growing in numbers, Duthie. And I should add that my newest wingman, Carlo, just got a call from Scott Lawton, hung it up on the show. He said, "Sorry, I'm busy. I can't talk." And now Carlo with this.
So you mentioned Carlo's still there. Now, Buffalo is not confirmed if they're dealing.
Now they're gonna have my first name Carlo on the back of their jersey. So I think I gotta get one of those too. So.
Oh, I am so old. I am so old. I'll tell you why. They have this panel on TSN right now. Oh, I'll look at that for a second. Flyers, Giovanni Smith from Colorado for Johnson. That's a great trade. That's a great trade. So the Flyers got Giovanni Smith. That's a fantastic trade. Eric Johnson is old. They're just trying to build chemistry on their blue line. You save money. Giovanni Smith is a very good, strong winger. If it's who I'm thinking of, I think he also was a Red Wing. That's a great trade for the Flyers. But no, I'll tell you why I'm so old. They were talking about this guy, is Carlo Colaiacovo. And Carlo Colaiacovo, I don't know if you remember that name or not, Trent. He was a defenseman for the Red Wings. And he's, doing one of their, he's one of the hosts on this show. I'm old because I remember Carlo Colaiacovo, remember the trade deadline. He was a great defenseman. No, Giovanni Smith, if it's who I'm thinking of.
That was the previous administration.
If Giovanni Smith is who I'm thinking of, he's a powerful physical guy that works perfectly under Tortorella's system. That's a good trade. All right, so they're showing the wild card in the East. So far, the Rangers are ahead of the Red Wings by a point. Okay, so you know what? I will say this: the Rangers still are going to win games. I'll probably say this is a 4-team race for the wild card. I know Montreal's there. I don't believe in Montreal. I really don't. But this, to me, as I said, this is a 4-team race. The Red Wings, Ottawa, Columbus all made moves. Rangers and Montreal stayed pat. Rangers do have depth from last year, though.
They addressed both needs that they had to. Scott Lawton serves a purpose. Brandon Carlo serves a purpose. And Brandon Carlo's not just a third-pair guy. He's not a scrap heap player. He's a significant player on that blue line. So the Toronto Maple Leafs have done a good job.
Okay, now, of course, moments before the Brandon Carlo trade came down, we heard about Brad Marchand on the move. So let's say hello to Emily Kaplan. She is in Tampa. And Emily, I know Brian asked you just about half an hour ago what the vibe check was like. Fill us in. What's the atmosphere like around the team right now?
Yeah, well, the vibe check when they were practicing, I said, was
We're looking for more other. We're probably going to stay for about.
They knew something was going down. Charlie Coyle is now gone. Now Brad Marchand,
Yeah.
who's in Boston, he's not with the team right now, has been traded, and so is Brandon Carlo. And I know that even after Trent Frederick was traded, the team was pretty upset, feeling themselves. I can only imagine what it's going to be like for them when Brad Marchand, their heart and soul, is not with the team. And remember, Charlie McAvoy is not with them right now.
Now let's take a look at what the NHL games are today, so we can kind of have a feeling of who's going to be missing, who's going to not play.
Shane Gillis is playing at Amalie Arena. A lot of the team was going to go. I hope that they can have some laughs.
We got the Jets and the Devils tonight. So obviously, that's really a new look because Cody Glass is coming to the Devils. The Jets bring in The Jets are going to bring in, who is it again? They're bringing in Shen and Tanev. Red Wings and Caps will be interesting. Caps are bringing in Bavillier. Not sure if he'll play tonight. Probably not. Red Wings also dealt Veleno, so Craig Smith will be on his way, and so will be Mrazek. St. Louis and Anaheim. Anaheim really isn't different, although they did buy some contracts. They didn't really deal anybody. Chicago, obviously, Veleno will be going there against Utah. We'll have that game. Well, actually, I don't know if we'll have that game. I'm thinking about broadcasting that game. Pittsburgh and Vegas. Pittsburgh, they lost a couple players, so no Glass, but nothing really there. And the Wild and the Canucks, Wild Nyquist is going to come in and a couple other players. But the Wild made no deals today, and the Canucks, we appear like they had sat and done nothing today.
But it's also these two teams in Florida. I know that Tampa had their game last night, was feeling really good about themselves. You know, Yanni Gourde got all the headlines, and rightfully so, but they knew that they weren't going back in the time machine, and he's not playing on that big shutdown third line.
Apparently, Utah also traded prospects Victor Soderstrom and Aku, not Atu, but Aku.
In their current iteration, and knowing they now add Brad Marchand, they're probably getting Kachuk back, we hope, at some point during the playoffs.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Coyle leaves. Now, they do add Middlestat, but
I think if we got to bring it back to Toronto and emphasize the importance of winning the division now.
Yeah.
Right? Because you've seen Tampa make their big move. You've seen Florida make their big move. The Leafs have made some big moves, but the importance of winning the Atlantic Division so you don't face one of those powerhouses in the first round. And I just want to say, Hayes is not a fraud.
Thank you.
Today, Hayes is legit. He broke a trade. He called out the Boston Bruins, and all the Boston Bruins made all
That's
those
right.
trades.
I was the one to indicate. I personally sparked the Boston Bruins.
But I think Boston, I will say this. I know everybody's, oh, Boston's trading all these players. What are they doing? Rah, rah. This is the move. This is the move to make. I will say this, though, and people are really not going to like me, especially Bruins fans. But I'm going to say this. If you want to complete this rebuild, trade David Pastrnak. Not this year, but maybe next trade deadline. I would trade David Pastrnak. Make it a full deadline. Make it a full deadline. Full rebuild. Trade all these players. Get a bunch of prospects. Completely rebuild and you know, maybe get some lottery picks. That's what I would do if I'm Boston. So I think at this point, listen, if any trades come in, that would be interesting, but I think at this point you're pretty much not going to see anything else.
Enjoy 24/7 U.S. customer support for total peace of mind. Download Hard Rock Bet for simple, fast, exciting, and safe gameplay. Roll with us. Free spins and a 100% deposit match for new players on us.
Once upon a time, a bunch of teenage girls got stranded in the wilderness, and they went completely nuts.
But that looks like that would be it for deals. So, yeah, that's going to be it for deals. I mean, could you see one or two coming? Possibly. And if there is one, maybe, but the DraftKings is already posting. I think we're done. I don't think Besser's going anywhere, especially with the Canucks. The Canucks dropped the puck in less than 7 hours. So I think at this point you can't do anything more. So I'm gonna call it quits for now. I'm not sure if I'll stream later. We'll let you know. There are a couple teams with some games to talk about later tonight that I have rooting interest in. Obviously, Utah's hosting Chicago. Canucks have a chance to get into a playoff spot tonight. I believe they play the Wild. That is a huge game for both teams. I think the Canucks with a win, barring I don't think it matters what St. Louis does. Because they have a point ahead. So it does matter if you lose, but St. Louis plays at the same time. But if the Canucks win, if the Canucks win or get a point, okay, so the Canucks win, period, they'll be in a playoff spot. If the Canucks, hold on. No, it'd be the no. They got to win. They got to win because 1 point it wouldn't mean anything for Calgary. So a Canuck win, they're in a playoff spot. No matter what happens, and it would stay ahead of St. Louis unless in regulation. Fraser Minton to Boston. They're still. Oh my God, it's gonna go off the air. Fraser, I don't see that trade. Oh, okay. So he's part of what they're getting from Toronto, the big forward prospect. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. So it's no new trades, but it's just they're getting what's officially the deals. Yeah. Connor Timmins is also in that deal we're hearing from Toronto, and they're still phasing out what the Bruins are getting from the Panthers. So I'll tell you this. I 100%. They're getting good prospects. Here's what I would do honestly if I'm the Bruins. Keep building these prospects and then next year trade Middlestat and Pasternak and continue the rebuild because they're getting great prospects. That's absolutely what the Bruins. Everybody, it's the worst day. It's the worst day in Bruins history. I get it. It stings. Look, I've rooted for bad teams. This is what. No, the Bruins are doing the right thing. They're going the right way. This is what they need to be doing. This is absolutely what they need to be doing. And I know it's controversial. I'm going to say it again. David Pasternak should be traded next year. Pasternak, however you want to say his name, he should be traded next year, in my opinion, along with Middlestat. Teams will pay because they're going to get a boatload from the Panthers. And they're all also getting, and they also, how about the fact that everybody was talking about Timmins and Minton, and the Bruins got both of them. So you're going to get the top tier prospects from these guys. You're going to get a team that's going to pay a lot. Trent, would you agree with me? Trade Pasternak. What are you going to do? What is he going to do? Oh, he's going to be the captain, and he's going to lead this team to the promised land with all these young kids. That's wishful thinking. To me, that's what you got to do. And I would also trade Middlestat, even though you got him next year. Not. I'm saying next trade deadline. Those are the moves that I'd make.
Capitals on the fly, kind of retool and
Pasta's head has to be spinning a little bit.
I mean, they had
Pasta. Oh, here we go. Pasta's head needs to be spinning. Well, you're next. You're next year.
They're done. And they held it together for another year where they were winning.
Yeah, I would trade Middlestat next year for a decent pickup. You don't need a lot from him. Just a decent pickup. And then I trade Pasternak, make that another just giant blockbuster deal. Trade it to somebody. But you know who I would do? I would wait and I would kind of find out who has like the biggest pool of prospects that wants a top tier forward. Send them there, even if it's in your division. Send them there. The Bruins are on the right path. We saw this kind of what the Rangers did. This is perfect. It was the Rangers did in 2020. And I know all the Bruins fans are complaining. And listen, but this is exactly what you do. Now they have a lot of holes they have to fill, but that's what these young players are.
Eastern, they were told a little later, and that's when you start thinking, all right, maybe something's going to happen. And then it feels like Trey Living kind of pulled off the.
All right, it is pretty much done by now. We still don't know what. I'm refreshing, trying to figure out what the Bruins are getting from the Panthers, what we're giving them. We don't know yet. We just know Timmins and Minton to the Bruins from Toronto.
I talked about Scott Lawton, a former World Junior captain for
Team Canada coming into the organization. Covered, mentioned at the World Juniors, high character guy, great to talk to. He played 15 games for the Leafs this season.
Just some great,
They had some injuries. You can certainly have seen
great matchups. And you know, it's interesting. They mentioned a big point is when you talk about buying, when you talk about teams buying and selling, the only teams that really made moves in the Metro were Pittsburgh, the Devils, Washington, and Carolina. And Carolina sold, although technically wasn't really much of a sell. Stankoven's a great player. Devils only got one player. Pittsburgh didn't buy at all. They just sold. So
again, not knowing exactly who's involved in these last Leaf deals, but right now we know for sure Scott Laughton.
I will tell you this: Toronto, after this, they really bolstered their roster. They're going to have basically no picks and no prospects. They only have a fourth and a sixth. They had to give away a first. They had to give away Grebkin. They probably gave away a first to Boston, and we know that they gave away Timmins and Minton. So Toronto's pantry is bare. All right. Like Mike's stream later tonight, we'll let you know, depending on how I feel, because there's a lot of late games. But we will let you know. Good night, everybody. Happy hockey, everybody. Might see you tonight, if not, in the future.
And Carlo